Hello everyone and welcome back to another not Squishmallow video. And it's not a fashion one either. Well, it's kind of fashion based. So, as you may know, I have dabbled in playing Dress to Impress a couple times recently. You can go check those videos out if you haven't already. And I'm most likely to be playing it again in the future. This video is a bit different and one that some people might actually find quite useful, which is explaining Dress to Impress themes. Now, as a fashion girly, I have a rough idea of what most of these themes are when I play. However, the people that I play with don't usually know what I'm on about when I'm trying to explain a theme or have a clue when it pops up on the screen. And to be fair, sometimes I have to go on Pinterest and have a little look myself. So I've done some research and I'm going to be covering a couple themes in this video. And then I also have more for another video. And if there's any that I didn't cover in this video, comment them and I will get to them. But I'm going to read out which ones I am going to be covering today. I'm going to be covering Steampunk, Harajuku, Decora, Indie. I forgot how to Google how to pronounce this one. Douyin? I don't know. It'll be on the screen. Y3K and Coquette. Those are the ones I'll be covering in this video. And in my next video, which I should be out in a couple weeks, I'll be covering Cybergoth, Mallgoth, Aerobic, Cubic, something else. I can't remember what that is. And Crystal Fascination. So if you are interested in any of those themes, stick around and let me know if there's any that I didn't cover in here that you would like me to have a look at. So without further ado, let me get into the explanation. So the first one that we're going to cover is Steampunk. Now, I want to cover this one first because it is one of my favourite themes in general. Not just in Dress to Impress, but just an aesthetic that I quite liked. Now, I discovered this back when I was like in year 8, so I would have been 12, I think. Maybe I even in year 7, maybe I was 11 when I discovered it. I don't know. But I went through a little fashion thing looking at themes. I don't remember how I actually came across it. I looked into it at the time and I was like, Steampunk is pretty sick. I like it a lot. I did do some illustrations somewhere inspired by that aesthetic in general. Now let me explain Steampunk for those who don't know. I do have a definition here that I'm going to read out that I found on Google. All this information is the first thing that popped up when I searched it on Google. So yeah, you can find this information too. I'm just compiling it easier access for you guys. So it is a genre of science fiction that has historical settings and typically features steam-powered machinery rather than advanced technology. For example, I think steam power stuff was invented during the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution focused more heavily within the Victorian era, or that's when it was not exactly popularized, but that's when it boomed the most. So as a result, steampunk is very much Victorian centered. Surprisingly, it's more late Victorian. So when you think of silhouettes and just the overall shape and color scheme of steampunk, it will be more late Victorian fashion and also go into the Edwardian era. I feel like that doesn't get mentioned a lot. So think probably early as 1870s, maybe 1880s, all the way till about probably the war before fashion really changed. So probably about all the way to 1914. I think those are the areas you probably want to think about. I know that's a bit more in depth and detail for probably, I don't know, 7-year-olds probably like, oh, what's this theme? But yeah, that's what steampunk is basically based in. It has a very not strict color palette, but when you think of it, it is mostly shades of brown and darker blues and gold. I feel like that just sums it up. So more basic. Obviously I'll put like pictures and stuff on the screen. There's also motifs like cogs and just mechanical things in general. Accessory wise, think about hats, goggles, I don't know, boots, laces, lace, but like, so think more of that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's supposed to be, I guess, like a futuristic style of like almost like a weird apocalyptic vibe, I'm guessing. But yeah, just generally has technological features inspired by science fiction. But again, it's not like futuristic. It's back like 100 years ago, 150 years ago. 150 years ago, getting closer to 200 years ago. To be fair, I don't know. So yeah, just think Victorian silhouettes and this color palette and cogs and goggles. Now I've done this theme a lot in Dress to Impress. It keeps popping up and I keep doing it. Sometimes I place first and sometimes I place very last. If you saw my first video on Dress to Impress, I did get the theme and I placed last and I was the only one on theme. I'm not bitter. But yeah, I feel like that just sums up the genre pretty well. The essence of steampunk is a homage to vintage fashion with a modern, sassy twist. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's what Google says. But yeah, so obviously I have played it. I've thing. My silhouette works quite well. I think if I did it again, I would change how I do it. I think there's new dresses and new stuff currently out, so I think if I got that theme again with the Halloween update, I would definitely change how I do it. But yeah, that is just a rough version of what I do and an explanation. So hopefully that will help you going forward with steampunk, especially to my friends and my brother who are like, "What's steampunk?" And I keep explaining it and no one gets it. So hopefully this helps. The next thing I want to get into is Harajuku. Now, I am kind of aware of what Harajuku is in general anyway. Again, I went down the rabbit hole of aesthetics when I was younger. I generally don't remember the context of why I did that, but I did. So Harajuku is one that I'd also already come across again, like beforehand, but I did have to go and Pinterest it more recently whilst playing Dress to Impress because I know there's different sub-genres within Harajuku. This is when it's going to get a little bit complicated. But yeah, so again, I'm going to be just reading off the first explanation that popped up on Google. But Harajuku is a fashion trend that originated in Tokyo, Japan, specifically in Harajuku. There is a place called Harajuku, and that's where it originated. It is basically just like it is a street fashion, but because it is more out there and there's different subgenres within Harajuku, it's more difficult to explain. Again, this is just like very light research that I've done, so you understand, and then you can basically see what you need to do because this is just for Dress to Impress girlies or anyone that wants to play. I mean, if you play Dress to Impress, you're Dress to Impress girly. But yeah, it is known for its electric mix of styles, bold patterns, and vibrant colors. So yeah, that's how I think about it. I think about it more pastel, but I think that's because Decora I think is more brightly colored. But I will get into that one next. But yeah, it's a subculture that celebrates individuality, self-expression through the variety of fashion choices. And because it's more of a thing of self-expression, there isn't a specific aesthetic. If that's why it's more confusing because it is just self-expression. Like there is like some vibe to it. Like it all kind of fits together, but because everyone is very different when it comes to expressing themselves, it's more difficult to just straight up explain. So if you want like a full in-depth videos on the aesthetics themselves, I recommend you go watch people that actually know what they're talking about. Whereas I'm just doing it simply just here are the basics. This is kind of the vibe, so you get a basic understanding for Dress to Impress. This is simply all this is. But yeah, so it's just like a mix of styles, including traditional and modern Japanese, Western, punk, goth, kawaii, and vintage. So as I mentioned before, like it's just a big mix of everything, and it's just it's just a street fashion in the area of Harajuku in Japan. Which I mean, it is outside of Japan in this area, but this is where it mostly is. I guess I don't know. I don't think I've got any actual things, but yeah, I did try again and Pinterest it. And when I actually typed in Harajuku, a lot of like Dress to Impress examples did actually pop up this time. Which I'm not quite sure if they fit or not from what I researched. But anyway, here's just the general aesthetic anyway that I found on Pinterest, and I did make these mood boards at like 2 o'clock last night because why do I don't sleep? There we go. So yeah, this is just a random mood board, so you get the vibes. It's very out there. It's very fun. It's like dresses and quite a few accessories, and just I don't know, just like I don't know, just look at it and figure it out. I don't know. So overall, coming under the Harajuku umbrella of things is Decora, which I previously mentioned. Now, Decora is also its own theme within Dress to Impress. I've got it myself. Like these are all ones I've had myself, so that's what I'm basing it off this list off. By the way, but yeah, I've had Harajuku and I've had Decora, even though Decora is part of Harajuku fashion trends. So that's why this confused me a bit. Why there's two different ones, but I tried my best. So I did have a little look into Decora. Basically, it's a broad variety of it's in a broad variety of Japanese street style, like Harajuku. Decora poses an I love being dyslexic and can't read. I'm struggling with these big words. Anyway, it's basically just an exorbitant approach to fashion, questioning norms, and basically they are the opposite of minimalistic. They are just so much color, so many accessories, just so much. Now, Um, yeah, the term Decora is basically derived from the English word decoration, and the style is therefore characterized, by overall eccentric, offbeat, and dis in distinctive looks. Oh my god, I am struggling. Maybe I do need to sleep. Maybe I do need to sleep. Maybe I do need to learn to read. Maybe I need to go back to school. God. Anyway, yeah. So when I think about Decora, I think it's just like similar to what I just showed you with the Harajuku thing. It's just more brightly colored, and there's just a lot more going on. And I guess also it has an element of kidcore, which I don't think is a dress to impress theme. So I'm not going to explain to you what kidcore is because I don't know off the top of my head. I just if someone said what it is, I would know what they're on about, but I couldn't explain it to you off the top of my head. So bear with me. But yeah, it is. I just yeah, it's got like a kidcore kind of vibe to it. If you know what I'm on about, then you know. If that was a dress to impress theme, I would be covering it today. But I haven't got that, so I'm not going to be covering it. But yeah, there is just a lot going on. Very bright colors. Very just a lot. It's cute. I quite like it. Would I just like that personally? No, I do quite like wearing the color black. But yeah, no, it is a very cute style. But overall, if you get that theme on dress to impress, this is kind of the vibe you want to go for. Indie is the next one I have on my list. So this was a bit of a difficult one to actually look into because there's two versions of indie. Didn't know that, did you? Or maybe you did. Maybe you are educated in this and you probably think I'm really weird because I don't really have a clue what I'm on about, but there we go. So when I think of indie, I think of 2020 cool, which I know is not cool, but that's how I think of it. Um, like, you know, when you think of 2020, there's like a very specific aesthetic that was on TikTok, if you remember. Um, if you're around then, or if you remember it, because I was like 13, 14 when that was going on. So most people that play Dress to Impress probably weren't even born yet. That's weird to think about. Actually, no, they'll probably be 5. They were like 2 when it was going on. Then I'm gonna remember. But yeah, so that's what I think of indie, and I think that's what Dress to Impress was going for. But when researching, there is a different type of indie, which was what came before it. So when googling it, indie style basically it refers to, I think, more of the 90s version of indie than 2020 indie. And to be fair, indie in 2020 it just stuck that I don't think we refer to. I think it's back to how it was before. So I don't know. This one confused me too. So there you go. I'm going to give you the explanation of what it says, I think, for the 90s version, but I'm going to show you mood boards from the 2021. So sorry about that. Indie is a style of fashion and design movement that emphasizes individuality, creativity, and self-expression, which I feel like is majority. Like, I think the last 2 themes we've already covered have already basically said the same thing, but there we go. It's characterized by a departure of mainstream trends and celebration of authenticity and originality, which is kind of the opposite of 2020 trends. Like, if you remember how trend cycles worked back then, that was a bit psychotic. Um, some elements of indie styles include the clothing. So, indie styles often incorporate vintage and artistic elements and can include plaid skirts, casual skirt. I think it says shirts actually, sorry. No, sorry. Plaid shirts, casual shirts, and blouses and graphic tees. I can't read. Design. Indie design is created by independent artists, designers, and craftspeople and can include clothing, jewelry, ceramics, glass, art, metalwork, and more. So this version of indie is very different to the one that I'm going to show you mood board wise. It also then covers the music, but we don't really need to talk about that. But it basically says folk music or folk style originated in the 90s and is known for its acoustic instruments. So that's kind of the Google definition of it, and I didn't end up making a mood board based off of that one. Sorry, maybe in editing I will come up with one based off of that and you can kind of get that idea of indie. But then the indie style that I always think of every time I always go back to 2020 indie, which is not the definition of that, I can tell you that much. I mean, it was very different. It was very self-expression because we all just sat in our rooms all day, every day. We had nothing else better to do, but we could just express ourselves and then on the internet and not get bullied by the people around us, just on the internet. I didn't do that though, so I was fine. Did I upload TikToks back then? Yeah. Not on the account I use now. Go follow me on TikTok. Please. Do I upload very often? No. Does it make any sense? No, but I think you should go have a little look over there anyway. But yeah, no, the account I have now was not used during 2020. I had a different account for that I no longer have access to, so thank goodness. And to be fair, there wasn't much on there. Anyway, but yeah, if you think back to 2020 core, this is how I think of indie. So yeah, there will be pictures on the screen, probably a mood board that I created at 2 in the morning. But yeah, indie back then was obviously self-expression, which comes under that, I guess. But it was very different. It was very more creative, where you like painted on your own clothes because again, oh, my lights just came on. But it's like very like painting on our clothes because we had nothing else better to do, and no one really cared too much. Um, but yeah, bright colors, those specific swirl patterns as well were quite popular, among other things. Um, I can't think of, I don't know how to explain it. It just make, sorry, I can see my LEDs flashing and it's gonna annoy me. Anyway, um, it'll stop in a minute. But it was very bright. But then it also had like beaded jewelry, like like it almost came under kidcore almost. Again, I keep mentioning kidcore. I'm not going to explain to you what kidcore is. Go Google that yourself. But kidcore, okay, fine. Kidcore is like, I don't know. Think about it. Like more childlike things. So like play beads, like pony beads, like you know those types of stuff, like on everything. And I remember put people on their shoelaces, make bracelets, necklaces, you know, anything to like keep us busy. But yeah, and most pictures then that come under this had this like vibrant filter on it that just made the colors look so much more vibrant than they needed to be. Which again, I guess almost comes under the kidcore aesthetic as well. So it just kind of things. So this is how. So yeah, obviously, like you can see it here, but like that's how I view kidcore. Kidcore? No, 2020. Like if you think of 2020, it's that plus Strawberry Cow, and that's one strawberry dress. There's a weird fascination with strawberries back then. Um, but yeah, that's how basically this 2020 is an aesthetic. Just forget the fact that we're all in a major pandemic, but fashion wise, this is what it looked like. But yeah, so either way, there's two different versions of indie that could possibly. It's not specified, and I think I've only got this like once on Dress to Impress, so I don't really know. I don't even remember what I placed on that if I did do that. I genuinely could not tell you. I'm pretty sure when indie popped up, I thought 2020. Let me recreate Strawberry Cow. I did that. I did not place very high. I'm thinking, great, yeah, because you were all 2 when this was all happening. Um, Sometimes I forget. Like sometimes I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm playing this because this is fun, but I'm thinking, oh yeah, no, it's probably just a bunch of 5-year-olds playing, or 7-year-olds or whatever. So then I'm gonna remember. But then I'm also thinking, I think that, but then I go on TikTok and there's all people my age playing and like older. I'm like, am I that weird? I don't know. All my friends think I am. Anyway, all the ones that don't play Dress to Impress with me. Anyway, actually no, they probably all think I'm strange anyway. That's not really relevant. Anyway, but yeah, this just sums up 2020, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, there's 2 indie styles, and I really could not tell you which one they're referring to here because it's not specified. But I guess both could work because it's both indie. But most people will just put on the most basic outfit ever and win, and you'll place last anyway, even if you're on theme. But there we go. Next theme. The next theme we have is Douyin. I did just Google how to pronounce that. Anyway, so this theme is another difficult one. So this is actually a social media app. It is basically China's version of TikTok, because if you remember all that drama, because I honestly couldn't explain it to you, but I'm pretty sure China has banned TikTok, if that's correct, or just never had it in the first place. I don't remember. They own it, I'm pretty sure. I don't ask questions. I'm like, silly little goofy app. I just want to see little kitties hanging out and cuddling and just sending it to my boyfriend and being like, yeah, this is us. That's what I use that app for, pretty much. And also weird brain rot things that my weird little friend sends me that I play Fortnite with, and you've seen in other videos. For example, that feeling when knee surgery is tomorrow. That's come out of nowhere, and that sums up the app as a whole, I think. I'm confused. Anyway. Douyin is, yeah, just, it's used as a theme on Dress to Impress, but when you Google it, it's not an aesthetic. It is simply a Chinese version of TikTok. So then looking for the aesthetic was 10 times more difficult than it had to be. Oh my god, Dress to Impress, why have you made that a theme? That's so difficult. Anyway, so because it is just a Chinese TikTok, the explanation of it, of the style version of it, changes because it's not an actual aesthetic. The trends change like TikTok, not as frequently as TikTok, because trend cycles on TikTok are just messed up. Like, I don't even want to get into that. But it's not an actual aesthetic, it is just an app which has fashion related content on it that changes frequently with trend cycles because it's not an actual aesthetic. However, not completely. There is some element of consistency with the aesthetic where it is an aesthetic too. It doesn't make much sense. I was so confused. Maybe I shouldn't have done this when I was half asleep as well. I probably would have understood it a bit better, but there we go. But yeah, its style can refer to both the makeup and the fashion trends that are popular on the app. That's how Google explains the aesthetic. It changes with the trends of the app. However, overall, when you then do put it into Pinterest, it comes up more with, obviously, you're going to see the style thing here where you can see the similarities between it and everything. But it does actually explain like a doll aesthetic where whether it's the makeup or the clothes or both, like as you can see, like the way that they do their makeup is kind of more doll-like, if that makes sense. Like, you know, and the way that they dress as well, it has this, but I quite like the aesthetic, but within it, there is no specific thing. Like you can kind of see, like, oh yeah, this is the style, but you can like be like, oh yeah, that's Coquette, that's this is that within it. But I'm at this point, there's not really. I think just in general in fashion, there's not really specific aesthetics anymore. Like they all there's like a main aesthetic, and then they have like their off little branches, and then their off branches then mixed together. So then there's like a mixed version of said off brand of that one aesthetic, and then two aesthetics can then mix slightly to create this other version. And then before you know it, it all just kind of pulls into one thing, and then it's like just fashion by itself without actually being in trends. That's my take on trends and aesthetics right now. But we can thank TikTok for that, because instead of the trend cycle where we have 2 different things a year, we now get one every other week if we are lucky. Sometimes it's 2 ones in 1 week. I think the bows at the beginning of the year are probably the best example of that, but anyway, not relevant. But yeah, so I don't really know how to explain the style because I did just generally try and Google it and I didn't really get it. For the example, like the skin, it says a flawless porcelain base with a semi matte finish, which again, the porcelain thing alone kind of comes under the doll, like the idea of that it's like a doll. And the eyes is what, sorry, I'm looking down because my Chromebook, I didn't zoom in on the thing and I can't read it. Ugh. But like glitter, sharp eyeliner, dramatic lashes, again, comes under the doll thing. You can see it here. And that's just explaining the makeup as itself. But yeah, no, it is just so that's like saying like, oh, the theme is TikTok, like the fashion, like there's no aesthetic called the TikTok aesthetic. I feel like 2020 could kind of come under TikTok aesthetic, but that was 2020. Very different to now. Like we were doing bright colors, all the things back then and we did all of that, and then we had clean girls. I don't think those are really a thing anymore, but you know, it changes. So that's why with this, I'm kind of like, if it's just a Chinese TikTok, can we really call it an aesthetic? But no, there is an aesthetic within it, and this is what it is. So if you get this dress to impress theme, this is how you want to dress. This is basically what they're looking for, I'm guessing. Again, not very clear. Very strange. And last but not least, we have Coquette, or that didn't sound as good as it did in my head, but I remember loads of people started calling it instead. TikTok's a strange place, and I'm on it 5 hours a day. I wish I was joking. To be fair, the amount of time on there, I could upload more than once a week. I just don't have enough ideas for that. I can't lie. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Coquette is an aesthetic in the 2020. I thought it said 2000s. I was like, no, it's not. 2020s fashion trend that is characterized by a romantic, playful, and hyper feminine style, which I can agree with. It is. It is basically just pastel pinks, bit of white, and bows. I feel like you can't get more feminine than that. I don't know. I quite like. Is it my personal style? No. But can I appreciate it? Yes, I love it. To be fair, I like looking at it. Would I wear it? Not particularly. The style is inspired by historical periods like the Victorian era and the 1950s, and I would also argue the Rococo period. That's just my opinion. Considering the amount of bows and lace and all of that, which yes, people are like, oh yeah, the Victorian era. I would also argue Rococo has a lot to do with it too. If you look at some of the silhouettes and just overall aesthetics, and it also says like pearls and stuff get used, like it also comes under kind of Rococo. So if you want to use Rococo as an inspiration, I would go for it. If you don't know what Rococo is, it's a fashion period, or just not even a fashion period. It's just a period in art and design in general during the 1700s. Whether it's referring to fashion, makeup, just architecture, interior design, like, you know, that is Rococo. Again, examples on the screen, people. I don't know why I was getting angry at you. I'm the one that's got to edit this, so there we go. But yeah, I would like. It doesn't say that, but I would argue Rococo is part of that. But with also a modern twist. So yeah, it's like Victorian, 1950s Rococo, but like modernized, because of course you're not going to see some girl in like a Victorian dress, are you? Like walking down the street. that doesn't usually happen. I mean, not over here. You're like, just get puffer jackets and Nike Tech fleeces. Ugh, love it here. Anyway, actually, my city's not that bad, to be fair. Most people are actually quite self-expressive when it comes to fashion, thank God. But yeah, so that's like what the aesthetic's based off of. But yeah, pastel colors are a staple of the Coquette aesthetic. It just says pastel colors in general. I mean, which is not wrong. That's also why I think it's Rococo, because like when you think of that, it's like pastel colors. Anyway, but when it just says pastel colors, I mean like it is just mostly pastel pink. Let's be so for real right now. But yeah, the details are like lace, bows, pearls. What does that say? Flounces are common details in the Coquette fashion. So yeah, off that detail alone, like, so yeah, when you're like making outfits, lace, bows, pearls, flounces. I don't know what flounces. I'm not going to Google it, but there we go. So that explains that. So yeah, Rococo too, because they also wore lace, bows, and pearls. Silhouettes are puffed shoulders, statement collars, 3D flower appliques. You know, so sorry, I keep zoning out as I'm reading this. Puffed shoulders, statement collars, and 3D flower appliques. So just flowers and make everything poofy. I feel like it's the simplified version of that when it comes to dress to impress. I feel like I'm not going to teach you how to style things. I'm just going to explain the themes. If I run out of ideas for other videos, I will be showing you how to do it, but as of right now, I think I'm good. That sounded mean. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mean. Sorry, viewers, if you're still watching. I didn't mean to be mean to you. I'm losing it a bit. I'm so sorry. And there's the shoes, there's also ballet flats or Mary Janes, which I feel like off the top of my head, there's that one white platform shoe that you can use. That'd be perfect. Which again, you can like you obviously customize the colors, but that one platform shoe and dress to impress I'm absolutely in love with is literally just perfect for Coquette. I mean, you can like, do other things and explore and things. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that would be perfect. For my friends that like my brother who can't really think and I have to explain everything. But yeah, it says accessories of gold jewelry is common. I mean, yeah, gold jewelry is probably common within it. I don't really pay attention. It's not my aesthetic, so I don't pay attention to it. But I would argue silver looks better. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a silver girly. I love my silver. I do not like gold. I'm not a big fan of gold. But yeah, yeah. I mean, jewelry. It says gold jewelry, but I would argue you could do silver. It works just as well. I mean, it just really depends what your outfit is. So yeah, I think the conclusion to that is I think Coquette is also mostly just thought about bows. I mean, I know at the beginning of the year the bows aesthetic was just a thing, an obsession for some reason. I mean, it wasn't bad. I didn't mind it, to be fair. But yeah, I think bows are very heavily Coquette. So it's like bows, lace, pastel pink, I think, and just like, frilly things. So I feel like that sums up Coquette. Now there was also I got Coquette, like, whilst playing Dress and Press, I have had Coquette and simplified Coquette. What? They're two different things? I do not know. So I think I also have examples of my ones on the screen as well for each theme if I have done it. But yeah, simplified Coquette is like not as frilly or bouncy or big and out there, So I feel like that sums up Coquette. I forgot to cover Y3K. I'm going to cover Y3K now because I got quite fascinated with this style as well. And I've got it before. Sorry, I didn't search these in order. I also forgot it last night, apparently. So Y3K is a futuristic fashion trend which combines metallic fabrics, sleek lines, and colour palettes of silver, blacks, and neons. Specifically more blue, in my opinion. Now, I have got this theme before. If you have watched my last video, not my last video, because I did that one. The first video I did on Dress to Impress, I got this theme. And I think I placed second with it. So, there we go. So yeah, I always think of it as silvers and blues with a bit of black and white as well. It is a play on words with, if you've heard of Y2K, which was the style in the early 2000s, referring to the year 2000, Y3K is a play on words where it's Y3K because the fashion is supposed to be set for the year 3000. So it's supposed to be 1,000 years in the future of what the fashion would be. So it's not a specific aesthetic I don't actually see anyone wear particularly. But it is an aesthetic that does exist. Yeah, because yeah, so literally inspired by the year 3000, but because we don't live in the year 3000, the year 3000 has not happened yet. We don't know what the style is, so it's like a weird futuristic thing, like, oh, this is how people are going to dress in 1,000 years. But because the style, again referring to Like, obviously people still do it now, but I think it probably came about around the same time as Y2K. So then you've got to think of like Y2K influence. So think of Y2K, but then make make a style that happened 20 years ago, futuristic for 1,000 years in the future, and then you have it. It doesn't make much sense. There is like explanations here, but I feel like alone because no one really wears it. It was also difficult to find. People put outfits together on Pinterest, but there's not actual outfits to put. So this is the best I could do. This is my take on Y3K because I think it's very interpretational. Is that a word? Interpretational? Well, it is now because I'm using it. Um, so you can figure out yourselves, I guess. Like it is very much down to your own interpretation. I think that's how I'm supposed to say it, actually. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, this is my version of it. This is what I saw, and I was like, yeah, this basically sums it up. Like there is an explanation for it. Like there's actually an explanation on nails. I feel like a Y3K nail trend would be pretty sick. Anyway, yeah, futuristic looks. The style is inspired by the possibilities of the future and blends reality with virtual fantasies. Okay. Metallic fabric silver is the hero hue. That's such a weird way to put it. Sorry, this is the AI overview stuff. I'm not sure if it's quite good still. But the other space age shades are also used. So yeah, think of retro space age. I feel like that's also kind of comes under it, if you know what I'm on about. Um Designs are warped, twisted, out of focus, or manipulated in some way. Hair and makeup is like shimmering and metallic eyeshadows, eyeliner, foundations are used. Along the hair accessories like braids, beads, clips, and pins. I feel like that's a great explanation. So when you're just styling something in white, like that's useful for dress to impress. Like that basically explains how you need to style your outfits. Cool places. Oh, cool pieces like wraparound sunglasses, which I feel is very Y2K. Acid wash dresses and utilitarian utilitarian Uti- utilitarian pants and vinyl coats. So I guess it's like weird spacious age. Like was it the 1960s that had like the space age like kind of vibe aesthetic? I think it comes under that, but then also mix it with Y2K. So it's like 1960s space age, Y2K, boom, put them together, and you have Y3K. I think that's probably the best explanation for it. But again, not many people actually dress like that, so I don't really have much to work with here. So this is kind of again down to interpretation, but those are the core elements. Again, there you go. There's your Y3K. I can't believe I almost forgot that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna now rush this outro because I gotta go out in a minute. But yeah, so this is a basically a rough simplification of Dress to Impress themes. I hope this helped in some way, shape, or form. If you want me to do more like styling like videos explaining this sort of thing, I mean I've got another one to do, and again if there's any that I missed that you want me to cover, let me know. But yeah, so next time I'll be covering cybergoth, morgoth, aerobic, acubic, and crystal fascination. So if there's another one that you want, if there's any others that pop up between now and whenever I upload that, or think, let me know in the comments if there's any that you want me to cover. And if this was useful, it probably wasn't. I'm sorry. I am a bit out of it. I am really tired. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I'm a fashion girly that sometimes knows what's going on. I don't even have an aesthetic myself. I change it every other day because why be consistent when you can be? I don't know. I don't even know what you'd call this aesthetic. Like, what is this? This is just what I threw on. Actually, to be fair, I have basic the elements of different outfits I've put together. That's kind of worked. I don't even have my own aesthetic. I just dress how you want to dress. Like you don't stick to an aesthetic if you don't want to, like. But there you go for the themes of Dress to Impress. That's the explanations. But will it really matter if you got them on point and then you do it anyway? No, because you're probably playing against a bunch of 7-year-olds who don't really care, will make whatever outfit they want anyway. Or if you do make the thing and other people won't understand the theme, and then you'll end up placing last when you're only one on theme, and the person that places first is the one that is AFK and not even wearing an outfit. Let's be so for real. I don't know how many times that has happened to me. Anyway, if you want to see me play Dress to Impress, I recommend you go see my 2 Dress to Impress videos. I did one Dress to Impress video, and then I did the Halloween update video. Both uploaded in the same week because I didn't know about the Halloween update happening. So there we go. But yeah, I have those videos up already. If you want me to do more Dress to Impress videos where I actually play with my friends, let me know and I will try and drag them and force them against their will to play it with me. Joking, they might want to. However, probably not right now because there is a new season of Fortnite and we are all currently playing that. So sorry. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope it was helpful. If you want to see more videos by me, I recommend you subscribe. And if you enjoyed today's video, like and comment any that you want to mention before. All my Squishmallow viewers, I am not giving up on Squishmallows. I just cannot afford to buy new Squishmallows every single week if I'm going to try and upload weekly. So I'm going to have a second thing on this. So it's either going to be Squishmallow content or fashion content. That is what this channel is now. Hope you don't mind. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.